And I'm sure that works very well over there in that culture. But I got to tell you, over here, it's a crash and burn. And sir, if you want to keep me on your team, don't ever do that to me again. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland. This morning, we're going to go through fundamental natural law number 76, which is truth without grace is like an operation without anesthesia. Let me tell you a quick story. The story is about my life outside of the martial arts. You see, not only am I a professional martial arts school owner, I'm also fortunate enough to be on the senior management team at one of the best Fortune 500 companies in the world of retail. Then I remember we were having a morning meeting in the back, and everybody was there. And Johnny, who reported to me, said something he shouldn't have said, in my opinion, and I got a little bit frustrated with him. I jumped on Johnny and ripped him up one side, down the other, and tore him a whole new rear end in front of his subordinates, in front of his peers, in front of his superiors. And I realized I was making a mistake with Johnny about halfway through because I was watching his eyes and the tears were starting to well up. I tried to give him a graceful out, and I explained to him, I said, Johnny, you know we love you. Okay, but if you make this mistake again, we're going to have to kill you. Now, everybody laughed, except for Johnny. And after our meeting, we dismissed, and all of us dispersed and started heading towards working on our action items for the day. And I realized and recognized I had made a mistake, and the more I thought about it, the more it bothered me. So I decided to get Johnny into the office, and I spoke to him. I said, Johnny, I wanted you to understand that at the morning meeting, I think I was a little too harsh on you, and I wanted to apologize for that and ask you to forgive me. What I realized I was doing is what's called a Chinese special. Now, I learned that from my years in Hawaii. Now, the Chinese special is when a person makes a mistake, and what you do is make sure that the punishment is 10 times worse than the crime. And you make it painful, you make it ugly, you make it uncomfortable for not only the person that said the comment, but for everybody around them as well, so they all learn from that what was perceived as a stupid mistake. And I realized I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. And I apologize, and I'd ask you to forgive me, Johnny. And Johnny looked at me dead in the eyes, and he says, Garland, I've already forgiven you. But I need you to clearly understand, sir, I don't live in Hawaii, and I'm certainly not Chinese. And I'm sure that works very well over there in that culture. But I got to tell you, over here, it's a crash and burn. And sir, if you want to keep me on your team, don't ever do that to me again. And I looked at him. I says, point well taken. You're absolutely correct. I'm absolutely wrong. I will never do that again to you or to anyone else. Thank you. And I appreciate you forgiving me. And we dispersed. And over the next 4 weeks, I tried my best to get him back. I tried my best to bring him under my wing, to bring him back into the fold. And I crashed and I burned because 4 weeks later, he left the company. I realized I made a critical mistake and I lost Johnny. I realized that on that day, I inserted a wedge in our relationship. In essence, I fractured our relationship, and as a result, I lost somebody really good. And that still bothers me to this day. That still haunts me to this day. It's still a cross that I bear to this day. My preacher said it best. His name is Mark Coward, and he's the one that said,
Garland, truth without grace is like an operation without anesthesia.
And I went on to add to that, operation's effective, but that patient will never darken our door again because it was too painful for them. And I've learned that a person needs love the most when they probably deserve it the least. On that day, I should have shown Johnny more love. He was magnanimous enough to show me love when I deserved it the least. And I believe that Maya Angelou says it best when she said,
I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Again, people will forget what you say, they're going to forget what you do, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. On that day, I did not make Johnny feel good, and I lost him as a result. I'll never make that mistake again. So let's all learn from my stupid mistake and remember fundamental natural law number 76, which is truth without grace is like an operation without anesthesia. Let's always be graceful in our comments. And remember, a person needs love the most when they probably deserve it the least. And let's be mindful in remembering that our words have power and that we want to use them to build up, not tear down. So, have a wonderful rest of your day. All the best to your family, and we'll be back to you real soon.